So hey everyone, how you doing? I've been meaning to actually put this video together for quite some time, but to be honest, I've sort of been spending more time actually riding. But this morning it's dry and fairly still, and I've managed to find a bit of a spot really to kind of do this. And I did have sort of time for a ride. I've done about 45 minutes, in fact 43 minutes it was. I will upload some of that ride footage, but yeah, it's one of those days really where kind of I've got a couple of hours, but yeah, after about half an hour I just kind of had enough. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. I don't know whether it's sort of a light cold and a bit of hay fever. I think it's a combination of the two, but yeah, my normal sort of go out, thrash it for 40-45 minutes is just an absolute mess. The council have come along and gritted one of the roads that didn't need doing, so the potholes and sort of all the divots and all that kind of thing are still there, and yeah, and then otherwise the roads are just kind of wet, so I'm swerving potholes and swerving puddles, and I just thought, I'll just head home. So yeah, that's where I am. Hopefully it's better tomorrow, but I'm planning a couple of hours on the road bike tomorrow. So yeah, so I decided to put this together for a couple of reasons. Sort of a quick look over the bike, but also to talk about the Endura Aeroswitch helmet, which has been around for forever and a day, certainly way before I started time trialing. And it's a helmet that I kind of keep going back to just every so often, because I have set the GoPro up, so we'll see what this kind of looks like. But sort of on a turbo trainer and in position, it looks like a helmet that would really suit me, but it's incredibly heavy compared to something like the Kask, so the Kask Mistral, and even the Met drone wide body that I had before. Really heavy compared to both of those. And yeah, I kind of just randomly go back to it, have sort of a good run on it. Visibility's good, I can feel it on my back, and I think, yeah, this is the helmet. Then sort of 1-2 rides later I go back to it and I just can't get on with it again. There's just yeah, times where visibility is a real problem, and to be honest, with my position, visibility is a problem generally, because I was really happy with the Met drone. I rode that most of last year, and then after a couple of sort of relatively minor position changes, I just couldn't see out of it, other than sort of, you know, 10 meters in front of me. And when you're doing 25 mile an hour plus, I'd really prefer to be able to see much further up the road than that. So yeah, that's where we are really, but we'll see what it looks like. As I said, I did set the GoPro up at the side of the road. There's a couple of guys sort of down on this road as well, so just so you can see what I'm looking at. So it's just a long, more or less a long straight road on an industrial estate. Actually, the surface isn't too bad considering it's just lorries that go up and down it all day. So yeah, we'll kind of see what it looks like, but I think having ridden it again this morning, feeling the weight of it and not being able to see bugger all, yeah, I think that's it. It's back into the case for a little while. So realise I'm talking all over this. This is yeah, this is the helmet that I'm talking about. So obviously this visor clips on like so. Very heavy. I mean, it's quite clever because this section actually clips off and then it becomes a road helmet, but I don't know who that's for. And the other thing as well that I would say about it is, so hopefully you can see inside. So obviously most helmets these days tend to be like the foam, whereas this is more like an egg carton. Just wait for that car to go by. Yeah, so it's there, really sort of, I was going to say strange, it probably is strange, definitely a different kind of design. So yeah, back into the box I think for this one now for a little while. So just going back to what I was saying in terms of that sort of egg carton and the structure of it, and it's got, you know, quite a lot of padding around here as well, which does a really good job at filling the gap. We'll see how well when I look back on the GoPro footage. I think this video is going to be sponsored by Marks & Spencer. yeah, it as I say, you know, certainly when you're on a turbo trainer, this does a very good job of filling that gap sort of, you know, around your neck and into your shoulders. But between that and the egg carton type stuff that's going on in there, it does make some very strange noises compared to kind of traditional helmets. So that's that. And then otherwise, yeah, quick look at the bike really. So I'm pretty sure I put a picture up or two at some point over the last, I've had this bike now for 18 months. So the wheels changed, well, the front wheel changed part way through last year, so I went to this tri-spoke. I've got a deep section, I think it's an 80. No, it isn't. It's it's close to 80. It's a 77. So fast forward, but I tend not to kind of bother with that now, and we'll probably sell it actually. So yeah, I switched to a tri-spoke probably a month or so from the end of last season, and just carried on with it. I quite like it. I don't know whether it actually is faster or whatever, but yeah, I quite like the noise it makes. And actually, I've ridden this in just about every type of wind, shall we say, you know, particularly crosswinds. So it's pretty deep. It's not as deep as some of them, and obviously these spokes are quite broad, but yeah, I quite like that. Which it's actually a Cadence, very similar if not identical to the Revolver. I mean, I guess a lot of you guys know, other than sort of Princeton and those type of wheels, like real high end, most of them are actually all the same, and they're just branded differently. The disc I did change part way through last year, so I ran a fast forward, simply because I kind of got a good price on it, and I'd never had a disc before. And then I think probably about September time I was able to sell that, and then I switched over to this, which is a reserve infinity disc. Obviously you can't have a reserve wheel on an Orbea, that's just weird. So unbranded, actually the guy who supplied this, so Detailed Bike Tech, branded up with his company. And then otherwise I was on one by last year, actually the same cranks, albeit I changed these. So I'm now down to 165s. I was on 170s. I swapped those out onto my road bike, and basically 170 is the largest crank arm that I've got now on any bike. Yeah, the reason, or actually what I really like about these rotor cranks, I had these across every bike. This is just chain, bit of wax there. Probably the only downside to chain waxing, if I'm honest. There's a bit of spray as well, but anyway, yeah, so swapped, changed down to 165, and that's what I really like about these. So I've got the same power meter across just about every bike, barring one exception. I've got an old rotor twin power on that, but that's sort of my winter bike anyway. I did try 155s, but they just felt way too short for me. I think the position was kind of okay, but you know, like that standing start, that type of thing, you know, short burst out of a corner, I just never felt like I got an awful lot of leverage. And then I also swapped out to these Speed Play, what are they, the Aero, the one-sided ones. And I decided to do that because I was treating myself to a new pair of shoes, which is definitely another video. I got myself a pair of Lake CX333s. Had a custom sole on them as well, so that I could basically mount the Speed Play cleats straight to them rather than having to use an adapter, sort of to get the lowest stack possible. Does it make any difference? To me, probably not, but I think aesthetically it looks a damn sight better anyway. So yeah, that's that. And then up front, a few different sort of cockpit setups last year. And then when I saw that these had come onto the market, so Drag to Zero produced a .44 and also a .66. These first started appearing sort of just before Christmas, I think. Matt Bottrell is very, very local to me. Obviously has a very good relationship with Drag to Zero, so I managed to get you know, one of the sort of first setups, or the first supply of them. So I had those on since around about February time, I think. And the good thing about the sort of time trial market is there's a pretty high, at least here in the UK, pretty high demand and sort of community, I think is probably the right word. So, you know, if you buy something and actually you don't really get on with it, provided it's in good condition, somebody will probably take it off your hands and see how they get on with it. So I had the sort of earlier drag to zero on there most of last year, and they were okay, but you know, there was always that sort of gap along the forearm. And then I swapped very briefly to I can't remember now what they were. I can't remember what they were, but anyway, I never actually raced on them. I think I rode outside on the bike twice, and yeah, obviously then it was winter. So probably the only other thing to say that I did switch last year was the tyres. See if this works out. Yeah, the tyres. I was on Vittoria's last year, and I've been riding on the road and even a little bit of off-road over the years, quite a lot. And well, to cut a long story short, I went through so many Vittoria Corsa speeds last year just simply because of how fragile they are. So when I had the new disc, this is a 28, so I've got the GP 5000 TTs on there now. So because this disc is wider, the 28 goes on there pretty nice. And yeah, when you see some of the ride footage and my sort of effing and blinding at the state of the roads, then yeah, you'll understand why I went to a 28. It blows up very wide, actually. That's, I think, around about, I can't remember now if it's just under 32 or just under 33 when it blows up. So yeah, it's pretty decent for comfort. Whether it's costing me anything in terms of speed, I'm not too sure. It's probably a trade-off, I guess, between bouncing down the road and not. But on the front, that's a 25, and that blows up to around about 28. So who knows, maybe I will switch to a 25 on the back if, you know, just to sort of see what the fit of it all is like, really. So that's me. Thought I'd just, as I say, I was a bit peed off, to be totally honest with you. What with the helmet, the state of the roads, and yeah, just I'm probably feeling a little bit under the weather as well. So thought I'd throw this together, give you guys a look at the bike, a few comments on the helmet. I might do something a bit more in depth on that, actually. As I say, it has been around for a long time, but actually in terms of what's available, particularly on YouTube sort of reviews, I mean, helmets are a very personal thing, but yeah, I've owned a lot of time trial helmets, considering I've only been racing for about a year. Yeah, I've gone through certainly most of them. The Pop, the Endura Aeroswitch, a Bambino, a Mistral, a drone, probably missed one somewhere along there. Yeah, anyway, there we go. Hope you enjoy. Big thumbs up if you do like the video. Drop me any comments and questions in the section below, and subscribe if you would like to see more. Thanks for watching.